Wow, that is blurry. Happy Monday night, Frank Rock. This is House of Orange Sports Channel coming at you. Appreciate you guys tuning in with me tonight. We're going to talk. Dang, man, this camera is about shot, I believe. But we're going to talk some baseball. We're going to talk some football. We're going to talk some basketball. This is your everything Orange Channel. We can go year round because we're going to talk it all. I don't have much on Lady Vols right now, other than there was a video earlier in the week. Somebody asked me today if I'd seen it. I did see a little bit of it. I hadn't time to respond to that yet, but yeah, definitely looks like some running, some gunning, some athleticism on that team for sure. But before we get any further, if you like the content, I hope you'll hit that like button. If you've not subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe to it if you like the content. And, make sure you check it if you have before that it hasn't unsubscribed you. Somebody put that they notice they've gotten unsubscribed from some sites before. I don't know how that works. I think I've kind of noticed it before. There's channels I felt like I've been subscribed to that it just didn't work out. Let me see if I can. That's a little more clear there. But yeah, just make sure where you get those notifications when it go live. Post messages on the web on the YouTube channel, and any content you're looking for. I've kind of reorganized my content on the channel. I've reorganized everything more into seasons. That way, if you're looking for something in particular, like right now with baseball news going on, I put in a YouTube. It's like a playlist, a folder entitled 2024 or baseball off season 2024. And you can find any portal news, any defections, any guys coming in, any recruiting news for baseball as well. Put some stuff, all my footballs in one folder since there's not been enough. And then I've split up the basketball content with all my previews, reviews from this past season. And then I put a folder with stuff for the current season with all my portal videos that I had on that. And then any news about the current team coming up. And then we'll talk a little bit about a couple of players on there tonight. But I guess first things first with news today on here. We'll talk some football later, but that's one they did announce today that Tennessee, they have their player representatives for the SEC Media Days coming up. And no surprise, really, as to who it was, as they did elect to send three seniors, or sending Omari Thomas, Cooper Mays, Keenan Pili down. So that will be, it says Tennessee's day is on Tuesday afternoon, July the 16th. So next Tuesday, Tennessee will, I don't see the exact time. I'm guessing around 1 to 2 o'clock is what they'll be in. Of course, with the SEC Media Days, Josh Heupel will step up, and, good to see you guys. It's been a good off season, and, it's good to be back out here again. He'll start with that, but, plenty of time on that. There'll be questions about Nico along the way. There'll be questions. The good thing is, doesn't seem like there's been a lot of drama up to this point, knock on wood, with the Tennessee football team. Of course, they're not asked about recruiting because I guess it's probably a little more legal to discuss now. I'm kind of unsure on that a little bit, but with NIL, with all that stuff, I think there's still parameters of what these guys can discuss, though. So, that'll be next Tuesday. So there's your three members there. We'll talk some recruiting later on as just a couple of bullet points. There's some big announcements I had on my cover photo. Travis Smith Jr. out of Georgia, wide receiver. I think that's Tennessee's big target at wide receiver. There was a crystal ball today on 24/7 from one of Georgia's actual writers, crystal balling him to Tennessee. And if you listen to my videos on him, from what I've been reading, it's kind of reading to me like Tennessee's in a good position there. But it's recruiting. You never know. And then David Sanders Jr., who I think is the big target on the board, announced yesterday. He'll announce on August 17th. And it is widely believed to be between Tennessee and Ohio State for him. So I think Tennessee's in a good spot. But from what I've read, Ohio State feels good as well. That one will probably go down to the end. But if Tennessee loses out, I don't know how much more they could have done on it. We'll discuss recruiting a little bit more later on. And then I thought an interesting one today. On3 had their updated rankings, and the big news coming out of that was George McIntyre fell from like 16th to 74th, I think it was. So that was a pretty significant drop. Of course, he did not compete in the Elite 11, so that makes me wonder how much he fell because of that. Because that stuff is kind of doctored a bit. But so that's kind of football news. We'll talk a little bit more football later on in the show. Baseball news, the big news today for Tennessee was they got the commitment, and I just released a video about 2.5 hours ago. Eric Radicek, I think is how it's pronounced, from Niagara. So he is in the fold. He makes Tennessee's third commitment from the portal. And, he seems to be a good commitment for Tennessee as, that's you're going to have plenty of guys to replace. We're going to talk about that here a little bit more in a few minutes. Before we get any further, make sure you share this thing out. I see we got not a big crowd tonight, Monday night, getting back into swing of things. We'll try to make this Monday night thing, I think, a regular moving forward. That was kind of what I had planned on. And then, of course, the baseball tournament happened. We got some Monday night shows in, depending on when the games fell. And, of course, we had the big one a couple of weeks ago, win the national championship. It was an interesting show that night, to say the least, for numerous reasons. But anyhow, it was one of getting to celebrate a national championship. That was a pretty cool deal there. And then, last thing, of course, we're always accepting super chats, super thanks in here as well. If you like the content, those are always appreciated. They do go back into the channel to help provide better content, like recruiting for baseball, just bigger news for baseball, and hopefully, content for Lady Vols. Still looking for more content for them as well. And one thing I can tell you on all this for certain is, I'm not an insider. I'm not trying to steal anybody's lines or anything like that here. I'm not an insider. Majority of my content is original content. Now, if it's new, if it's something like that, I'm going to try to quote my source on it. That you get a commitment like today, it comes from so many normal locations, and normally that first comes from a player's social media. So it's why I didn't really give credit out there, because a lot of your outlets are going to be reporting on that. But one thing I can tell you, actually two things. Baseball, you're not going to find a more detailed, more in-depth, more thorough channel than right here on the House of Orange. All content, recruiting, portal, all that. The only thing I'm missing is having that inside source. If I ever hit that, it's on, guys. It is on. This will be the go-to place for baseball. Hopefully we'll get on down the line with some stuff with baseball. Lady Vols basketball, it's going to be another one as well. It's going to be kind of the two niches of this channel. Yeah, we're going to do a lot with men's basketball, a lot with football as well. But those two are two that I've kind of identified as wanting to rock and roll with those two, just because there doesn't seem to be as much out there. And that's, that's the thing with this channel. I'm not trying to emulate. I'm not trying to copy. I'm actually not even trying to compete with anyone. I'm just trying to do my own thing of what I want to do. That's it. So, that's what this channel is all about. It's not trying to copy. It's not trying to, screw anybody over or nothing like that. It is kind of my own thing that I've come up with, and it's still growing, still really in the infant stages. But, I'm just kind of going on a tangent and flapping my gums right now. But let's see who all we got in the chat here. Papa J's the man. Appreciate you being in here, Papa J. Papa J for $20 too, man. Thank you so much, Super Chat, Papa J. I need to get your super mod or your mod info in. I forgot to put that in. I need to get that in. Papa J, contact me. If you're interested in being a moderator on these live shows, guys, hit me up. Hit me up in the comments after, or you can email me, the orangeswarm10@gmail.com. You can, if you're interested in being a moderator. The main thing is it's just cut down any crap. I don't mind trash talking. I don't mind people coming in, throwing a negative remark or something. As some of you probably were in here a couple weekends ago for the national champ. I had a pretty unfortunate thing happen that night, on a night where we're celebrating something, and something that was apparently pretty personal. It got dealt with after the show, and the next morning. I know that, but it should have never happened. Should have never happened. And the planet, hopefully it doesn't happen again. Hopefully it was just a case of getting into the wrong substances, if you know what I mean. Not from my end on that night, but it is what it is. So yeah, if you're interested in being a moderator, leave me a comment and or email me theorangeswarm10@gmail.com. See what else we got. Brad Lipford with thumbs up here. We got John Major said, "Go Big Damn Orange," and he said, "Let's talk it all, man." Tim Dewberry's in here saying, "Go Vols." Brad Lipford says, "Hit that thumbs up button." Reese Winters, 47 days to week 0. Let's rock and roll, man. Absolutely. Sandras Rux, what's up, Sandras? Hey, Frank, hope you're having a good night so far. Yeah, I hope you are too, Sandras, for sure. TK says, "Go Big Orange." Papa J, again, thank you so much for your generosity on that. Reese Winters, I'm going to come back to your question. It's a good question here in a minute. I appreciate, a few of you guys' comments down here. I appreciate it. I'm not going to bring them up. They're not bad. They're good comments, but thank you guys. Thank you guys for support. I am what I am. My lips get a little bit loose as far as the language on here. My mama texted me after that national championship, said, I went back and listened to your show, and I was a little disappointed you for dropping the F word in here. I don't need to really go that route. That's not. I've done it before. I get a little loose lips sometimes, but we do. I do need to keep that language a little better, for sure. But Mama was a little disappointed in her boy that night, so we don't want to disappoint Mama on here for sure. But we'll go back to Reese Winters here. Had a good question. Because to me, this is, before I bring Reese's question up, I'm going to segue. I'm going to do a little intro to it. So the Texas job was out there. People were freaking out. Tony Vitello may go to Texas. It was the same way a couple years ago with LSU. People were freaking out. He may go to LSU. Texas A&M writers, one on, I can't remember which side it was, claimed right up until midnight the night before they named Michael Early, the head coach, Tony Vitello was in. Tennessee writers are not backing that up, but at the same time, are they not trying to freak the fans out on that? So the Tennessee writers never said it didn't happen, but they basically downplayed that as well. This to me would be one I think would be interesting. You think Tony V will ever go to Mizzou if their coach leaves or gets fired? To me, I don't think Arkansas fans are convinced when Dave Van Horn hangs it up, Tony Vitello will come there. Yes, he was the hitting coach before coming to Tennessee. At this point, he has more stake in Tennessee than he ever had in Arkansas. Nothing with Texas. Now with Texas A&M, according to Kendall Rogers, D1 Baseball, he said Tony Vitello did have some connections down there. I never really saw what those was, if they were family or what they were exactly. But apparently he had some connections to Texas A&M. So from that sense, I guess that standpoint, it made some sense. And you can't blame Texas A&M for going all out, especially when their coach left them high and dry. Now Texas A&M has done a good job. I think most of their guys have come out of the portal to come back, and they're adding guys. So that's going to be a team to be reckoned with. And there's one guy on here, must be a Texas A&M fan, still whining to me occasionally in the comments about we should have beat you and we would have beat you, blah, blah. And He'd replied today that, well, we'll beat you in 25. Well, okay, well, quit crying about it. Because he said, well, we had a guy coaching against you recruiting for Texas. I don't care at this point. It is what it is. It sucks for A&M. But you know what? It's not Tennessee's fault. Tennessee did what they were supposed to do. They played ball and they won a national championship out of it. To me, though, back to that question, that to me would make the most sense. If Tony Vitello was ever going to leave Tennessee, it would be to go to Missouri. That is and because that is his alma mater. He is from that area. So to me, that would be the only one that would make sense. I think it's a good question on it. I personally don't think he leaves Tennessee at all. I think he'll be here until he either decides he's done or we know what the alternative to that is, because it's just not often. I don't even know the last time it's happened that the majors has picked a guy from college. You know, you occasionally see it in NFL, you occasionally see it in college basketball. I don't remember the last time it's happened in college baseball to the majors. I really don't. Sorry, I'm messing. I had a little mark here. But so I think, and I guess we're still waiting on the extension in the race, which I keep reading about. Well, it's going to happen anytime. So I don't think there's anything for anybody to worry about. But, you know, it is kind of what it is here. Backwoods, Tennessee in the house. What's up, man? I'm going to promote Backwoods again here. If you guys that are in here probably heard me promote him the last time went live, but Backwoods, Tennessee has a pretty cool YouTube channel on here. They do a lot of stuff with equipment. Really enjoy watching the content on there. He said it sure was a hot day today, brothers. 2 t-shirt kind of day. I can't imagine. I know up here where I'm at in the upstate, we live in the mountains, so it's a little less cool than say if you go towards Travelers Rest or Greenville, somewhere in that, even Pickens, wherever. But man, it's still, even up here on the mountain, it is hot and humid. I cannot imagine out there today. Let's see. I hope A&M doesn't run from Texas and go to the big. I hope they don't either, man. At some point, A&M needs to decide they're not little brother to Texas. They really do. They need to decide that they are not little brother to Texas, because I have a feeling that those pockets are deep at A&M, and it's A&M's got a good program. They've got good programs. It's just a matter, they don't have Texas's history, I don't believe, but Texas is going to be in for a rude awakening. They're already coming in all cocky to the SEC like they've been here. Texas is a new kid on the block. There's not a lot of SEC teams that are going to be intimidated by them. I can tell you that. What do I think about Zach Edey going to top 10 of the Grizzlies, not Connect? I loved it because Connect went to the Lakers. I'm a Lakers fan, so it worked out perfect for me. I think the Lakers are in shambles, though. They've let LeBron take over that franchise. They got their title during the COVID year, and they've just continued sinking ever since. That's and people keep asking, well, why are free agents not coming to Los Angeles right now? It's because LeBron. It's you just drafted his son because of him. I mean, I feel bad for his son because it's not his fault. He's just there. But there was plenty of better guys to take in that situation. But Memphis had to do what I say this because I don't really have a connection to Memphis nor the Titans. I mean, I don't mind them, but I don't really pull for them big time either. They've got to draft who they feel they draft. I mean, they do. If Edey is who they feel makes a difference for them, that's what they got to do. But some of the mock drafts had him going to the Lakers. I was like, that might be the final draw with me. But Steve Owens goes back to Reese Winters. Quite as much as Tony V talks about loyalty, I can't see him sticking a knife in our backs. No doubt money talks, but I believe he's bought in and believe on it. I totally agree with you. I don't think I don't think that's the case either. Yes, A&M's pitching coach went from the majors to college. I don't often. Let me clarify on that. That's a good point. There are guys who you hear about going from the majors to college. I'm not aware of any. I'm sure there probably is, but I'm not aware of any right off the top of my head who have done the opposite, who've gone from college to the majors. Yeah, I'm thinking A&M's pitching coach went to Texas too. I'm pretty sure he went with Schlossnagle to Texas, but let's get into some portal talk here. Actually, let me start with that, and then I'm gonna get into more of his analysis of this draft or this crud recruiting class. There we go. I couldn't get my words out right there. Looking at the portal class for Tennessee, Gavin Keelan in the boat. I think he leads off for Tennessee next year. I think he plays shortstop. I think it'll play out in the fall. People are going on. Here's maybe the scenario a couple ways. So Dean Curley will be a sophomore draft eligible player next year because of his age. He'll be 21 years of age. Dean Curley could be shortstop next year. I don't know. Dean Curley, Gavin Keelan, Ariel Antigua will all battle it out in the fall, and possibly any other guys who are in that mix. Some of your guys, if they make it to campus as well. If any of these guys make it to campus. So if I look at perfect game, I'm going to look at I want to pull the class up, the main guys for Tennessee's recruit. I'm not going to put them up on here because they are behind a paywall. As I said, that's kind of what I mean. Some of, this stuff goes to provide these super chats, these super thanks. They go to provide better coverage on it. So that is part of it, getting you the coverage from any sports, no matter what it is here. So for 2024, Tennessee's recruiting class. So again, if you were not able to check it out last night, it was a great turnout on the video. Actually, about 3,000 views, which is pretty big for this channel. It's pretty awesome. Talked about the draft class, and went a little longer. I analyzed up to about, pick 100 or ranking 100. They had 6 guys in the top 100. We're going to go thoroughly through it. I'm not going to put it up on the screen, but I will kind of read you what's on here tonight. But looking at this current class for Tennessee, ranked number 1 for it. What I like about it, and I talked about this in the video last night, it's predominantly right-handed pitchers, one left-handed pitcher. So they are targeting, of course, you have some guys coming back in the portal, returning from last year, Dylan Loy, Andrew Banky. I know I'm forgetting some guys off of the top of my head. Costamos is gone. Kirby Cannell's gone. Xander Sechrist is gone. Who am I forgetting? Well, you don't have. Hang on just a second. Let me pull that roster back up from this past season. Of course, you lost Wyatt Evans to the portal, who was a guy I was high on, but he apparently got doghouse early and never got out of it. Now he's going to South Carolina. Let's see. Banky, left-handed pitcher. Chris Stamos graduated. Kirby Cannell graduated. Dylan Loy, mentioned him. He pitched for Team USA. Now he's pitching for the Kingsport Axemen in the Appalachian League. Luke Payne is a lefty who will be back. I think he redshirted this past season. Of course, Matthew Dallas to the portal. And, of course, Xander Sechrist graduating. So you got 3 guys, one of them who's unproven, who didn't pitch any last year. So, you've got currently right now, you have Cade Fisher from Florida, left-handed pitcher who visited. Apparently has some family nearby. 2 Ole Miss guys. Liam Doyle, left-handed pitcher, started at Coastal Carolina, transferred to Ole Miss. Now he's in the portal. They visited Florida this weekend. Now they're at Tennessee. And Andrew Fisher, who also played at Ole Miss, started his career at Duke to Ole Miss, Tennessee. He played third base for Ole Miss. So if Tennessee's able to get them, now it won't be easy going against Florida, obviously, but if Tennessee is able to get those two guys, which I think they want pretty bad, you're going to have a combination of guys in the infield. Let's say Radachak. I hope I'm saying it right. I keep forgetting how to say. He's a draft risk. He is eligible to go. He had a really good year. He set a lot of single season records at Niagara. Let's say Radachak makes it to campus. Then at that point, you're going to have about 6 guys vying for multiple infield spots. Dean Curley, Gavin Keelan, Ariel Antigua, Gavin Fisher, Eric Radachak, Dalton Bargo. I think those 6 guys will factor in there. All right. Well, who else do we have coming back from this year? So you got Alex Perry, who was a JUCO transfer last year. He's listed as an infielder. He did not transfer, so he's still on the roster, listed as an infielder. Let's see who else I got here. Trying to go through. I'll hit the outfielders here in just a few minutes, but Blake Grimmer is a guy, looks like he hits left-handed, throws right. He's a guy I've seen could be considered for first base. Hunter High is a guy who I've seen. He was a freshman last year. He's listed as an infielder, but from what I've seen, he can play numerous places. I think Camden Bates hit the portal, if I'm not mistaken here. And then, so that's the guys infielders. Now, I talked about that recruiting class coming in, so let me get around to that now. If these guys make the campus, now, there's a bunch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys in the top 100, according to perfectgame.com. And then, you got 3 more that are in the 100 to 200 range here as well. Out of those guys, first one I see Ty Southsing. I hope that's how it's pronounced on here. He's from Henderson, Nevada. He's 5'9", 160. So the scouting report on him is, and I talked about him a little bit last night, said at the AA Classic, I guess this was the All-American Classic couple. He was the smallest player, but he also won the MVP. Again, he's listed at 5'9", 160. Great skills on both offense and defense, and he always performs. It says specifically on here, he defines hashtag a ball player. So he's played multiple teams. Looks like according to perfectgame.com, he is 19. So if he makes it to campus, he may be a 2-year guy because he would be 21 by the time that we get around to that. See, Antigua too small to cover the ground and get the. No, he's not either. No, he is absolutely not. If you saw when he come in at the end against Texas A&M, that play he made in the hole, Dean Curley doesn't make that hole, and he made that close. No, Antigua is absolutely big enough and has the arm. He reminds me a lot of Rafael Furcal at shortstop with his arm. He can cover. I don't know what Gavin Keelan. I don't know about these red shirt guys. Ariel Antigua is absolutely the best defensive shortstop on this team from last season. I don't think there's any doubt about it. And again, that play he made against A&M, which was huge. That was a huge play in that game because it kept the runner at second. If that ball gets through, he possibly scores. And no, he's absolutely quick enough. Guys, if you go back and look at that play, and then tell me he doesn't have the quickness. Look at some of his other plays throughout the season and tell me that he's not quick enough. He is good. Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Not as good as Omar Vizquel. He's good. Ariel Antigua is very good. The biggest thing in him is his bat. And it's pretty well known at this point. Had it not been for injury, he was going to be the starting shortstop last year. Got injured in the ball, and he just never got it back. But he absolutely has the quickness and the arm to play shortstop. There is no doubt about it. Again, if you don't believe me, go back and look at his highlights from this year. He made some phenomenal plays. And again, that one against A&M in the championship game, game 3, that was a huge play. That was an underrated play that was not mentioned enough, of him getting to the hole. And the fact that it wasn't really close, but it made it a whole lot closer than I ever anticipated. Dean Curley, I love Dean Curley. He's a heck of a player. I think he's going to be a stud next year. In my opinion, Dean Curley doesn't make that play. And Dean Curley is, a bigger guy with his height and stuff. But no, it did not either. That run absolutely did not score. That was in the 8th inning. It did not score. So it did not. You can go back and look at it, because that run, they were able to stop that run from scoring. So let's see. Curley can play the outfield. He can. It was said last year that he worked. They had numerous guys. This is something, and I'll touch upon this a little bit, some of the versatility. They had worked guys like Christian Moore, Blake Burke, Dean Curley, all in the outfield, some in the fall. Kind of got him a look. Something with Hunter Ensley. People talk about with him in the draft. Well, he doesn't have the arm in center. It was said Hunter Ensley could have come in and played second base this year. If Hunter Ensley, I think he gets drafted. I'm still going out and saying he gets drafted right now. If Hunter Ensley gets drafted, could he make that move to the infield to play second base? I don't know. I mean, it's a possibility. That's right, Papa J. Smash that like button. Smash the like button. Share this thing out. Share any UT fans that may want to check it out and stuff. Guys, share it out to them tonight. Talking a lot. Roy Lusby, what's up, Frank? Go Big Orange. What's up, Roy? Good to see you in here. Back to the. I guess we're kind of tying it all together here. So it's South Seam, the guy from Vegas, ranked number 37 overall, 9th rated shortstop, number 1 in Nevada. If he makes it to campus, you got to think he's going to be a factor as well in the fall. Another shortstop. He's the highest rated shortstop. Arnold Abernathy, 57th, according to perfectgame.com. Ackworth, Georgia, out of North Cobb, 5'10", 170. The scouting report, according to Perfect Game, calling Jay Abernathy one of the best athletes in Georgia, plus speed with pure middle infield actions and a quick left-handed swing. He bats left. Of course, he throws right. 18 months at the age of the draft. So he will, if he makes it to campus, being 57th rated overall, if he makes it to campus, he'll be a 3-year guy if he sticks around. Now, one thing I looked about looking into these recruiting classes, you might be surprised, or you may not. A lot of these, a higher portion than not, don't stay through their time at Tennessee, or they haven't the last few years. Could this will be Tony Vitello's highest ranked class, be the exception to it? But Abernathy's ranked 6th in Georgia, the 3rd shortstop overall, 57th overall nationally, and the 13th ranked shortstop. Your next shortstop, Trey Snyder, Kearney, Missouri, 6'2", 197. Pretty big guy for the position here. Said athletic and projectable frame, fluid actions on defense, quick first step, strength and quickness to swing. Outstanding at the Perfect Game National, and he is a Perfect Game All-American. At the draft time, he'll be a 3-year guy too if he makes it to campus. 65th overall, 15th ranked shortstop nationally, number 1 player in the state of Missouri. What I like about these guys, you're seeing a pattern here. Number 87 ranked Manuel Marin, M-A-R-I-N, Hialeah, Florida, 6'1", 170. He is ready to shortstop. Smooth and rangy defender, soft hands with body control, simple swing in the box. Ball already jumps and still projects. 87 overall, 23rd ranked shortstop. 14th overall in Florida, the number 2 rated shortstop. At the time of the MLB draft, he'll be 19 years, 3 months. So if he makes it to campus, if he is a producer in his time, chances are he's a 2-year guy at that point based on his age. Calvin Corm in the house. What's up, Calvin? Appreciate the $5 just dropping in. As always, guys, appreciate your generosity on that. Let's see here. Some of you grew up here in Ackworth or know a little bit about North Cobb. Yeah, Abernathy is one rated pretty well. I mean, that tells me with Georgia, and you guys can probably verify with this. He's rated 57th overall, sixth in Georgia, the third rated shortstop. That tells me there's some serious talent in Georgia for sure. So out of these guys, that four of their main guys are shortstops. I love it. I love it. And reason being, a lot of guys, you can probably back this up. Your best athlete normally plays shortstop or center field. And that's what I like about this dude here as well. Jackson Walker, Loudon High School, says he's from Lenoir City on here. 5'11", 180. Bats left-handed, throws left-handed. Says the 2020 14 Under Select Festival, he ran a 6.4. Power really blossomed in 2023. Said he was dominant in Jupiter with 455. I guess that's 2 home runs, 9 RBIs, 1.737 OPS in 6 games. At the time of this draft, he'll be 19. So it's, he's another guy if he projects out. And I think he'll have some opportunity if he makes the campus with what Tennessee's outfield's like. Could possibly be a 2-year guy based on his age. Could be a 3-year. Now, when I say 2-year guy, I'm not saying for sure these are 2-year guys, but you look at Dylan Dreiling, you look at possibly Dean Curley next year, you look at a couple years back, Blade Tidwell. These guys in their sophomore year were 21 years old. Therefore, they were draft eligible at that point. It's really one of 3 things. You can go straight to the draft from high school, as you guys probably know, 3 years in college, or if you turn 21, then you're eligible to be drafted then as well. Because I've had some saying, well, Tommy White and Paul Skeens elected to come back. They weren't eligible after their sophomore year. That's why they came back, or else they would have both been gone. Pretty sure of that. But, Jackson Walker, I was talking about him, 95th overall national ranking, 16th rated outfielder. This is perfectgame.com. Number 2 overall in the state of Tennessee, the number 1 ranked outfielder in the state of Tennessee. Again, lefty. And I need to watch some more of his highlights here. As I've just looked more at their scouting reports and I watched their highlights on it. I've not even talked about the pitchers, but here's my thing with all these guys I just mentioned, the 4 shortstops and the outfielder. Now, their actual highest ranked position guy is a catcher. Marietta, Georgia. Some of you guys talking about the Georgia talent. You probably know about some of that. Levi Clark, 6'2", 195, a catcher. So, athletic catcher with big power at the plate. Had a huge 2023 summer, hit 529, 2 home runs, 9 RBIs at the WWBA 18 and under. He was the MVP at the Perfect Game SE Memorial Day Classic, and he's a Perfect Game All-American. He'd be 18 years of age at draft time, so if he does make it to campus, 3-year guy. It says, according to this, catcher, first baseman, right-handed pitcher. What's Tennessee going to project him as? I would think catcher, just based on their depth, because you have Cannon Peebles. Of course, Charlie Taylor can elect to come back. He still has a year if he wants to provide some depth. And then Stone Lawless is a guy who redshirted, and then he, I think it's a guy they're pretty high on for next year as well. There's some talent, and that's think this Tennessee team is guys producing, guys progressing. Good stuff right here in Papa J. Marietta down the road. Lots of athletes in North Georgia. Seems to me like, man, in all sports, Georgia is just loaded. I know you have Atlanta, but even outside of Atlanta, it seems to me like Georgia is just loaded with talent. Let's see what else we got here. So that's a little bit about, I've not even talked about some of your other fielders. Another shortstop, ranked 115, Chris Newstrom, Phoenix, Arizona, 6'2", 200, 115th overall, 6th rated in Arizona, the number 1 shortstop. Strong and athletic build, can already impact the ball with extension, lift to swing, smooth the fender around the diamond. So according to actually Perfect Games, got him shortstop, catcher, and outfielder. I love it. I love it, man. Those guys that can do a little bit of all that, that's That's called Tennessee's recruiting athletes. And not only just athletes to recruit athletes, it's athletes who can play some baseball here as well. Let's see, Reese, I will get to that here in just 1 second. Who's going to play first base next year? I think it's still up in the air, to be honest with you. Let's see here. Wanted to get to, because in there, the only first base, so speaking of that, and I'm looking at recruiting, the only one I'm seeing listed is out of Prairie View, Kansas, Jackson Jones. 5th rated in Kansas, number 1 first baseman overall. I don't see a scouting report, and there's no perfect game grades on him. Here it says he can play first base, third base, or outfield. 18 years old at the time of draft, 6'3", 215, bats right, throws right. And with perfect game, I've noticed when they get to, they'll rank them up to 500, and then it's like they just kind of put them all at 500 if you're, below 499, I guess you could say. But Jackson Jones is the only first baseman. So going back to Reese Winter's question on this is, who's going to play first base? He asked, I think your in-house candidates right now are Dalton Bargo and Blake Grimmer, who I talked about returning. He's a guy I've seen. I don't know much about him. Let's see. I can, though. Let's just see here what the old scouting report was on Blake Grimmer from 2023, not 2022. Let me get that pulled up here to answer your question. So Blake Grimmer ranked. He was actually rated a shortstop coming in. So, and he's, from what I've seen, a guy who's a candidate first base. Now, some of you probably know this as well. And I'm sure it's like this at different places. It's probably like that at Tennessee and stuff. Like last year, not this past season, but 2023, when I was coaching baseball here in South Carolina at one of the 5A schools. I mean, every day for practice, even our middle infielders stuff are working on scooping the ball. So I think you get a guy, and I thought it was interesting. Dean Curley played some first base for Team USA in the little circuit this summer. I'm not saying Curley plays first base, but, I think Tony Vitello and that staff will exhaust all options as well in the fall. I think they'll look at everything. I think it's an open competition. I don't think it's a guarantee who's the shortstop. My guess is on Gavin Keelan being the shortstop coming in, because I think he's coming into Tennessee wanting to play shortstop. But, if Ariel Antigua's bat gets going, is Keelan a better shortstop than Ariel Antigua? I don't know. Is he better than Dean Curley? Does Dean Curley possibly say, hey, man, this is my job? Y'all talking about everybody else on shortstop. I'm not going anywhere. I think Dean Curley, with his build, you got to think he's going to add some muscle. He's going to get bigger. Could he play multiple places? Could he go to the outfield? Could he go to first? My guess is on him going to third. But I think that's a good thing. You recruit shortstops, especially guys who are versatile, can play anywhere. You can do a lot of things. If I'm coaching a baseball player, I've heard guys before. I went up, not this past summer, but, Herb, I'm going to check on that. I'm actually planning on going to watch Antigua play Thursday night. As a matter of fact, I want to pull those. That was something I wanted to get to here in a little bit, look at some summer ball stats for these guys. So thank you. It says Antigua's struggling in the Appy League right now. I went up a couple summers ago. I was in town, Tri-Cities, went and helped a friend of mine. They were doing some practice, and I went up, just kind of messed around, helped him, and he was working them everywhere. I loved it that he was doing that, getting guys work everywhere. And one dude at first, he wasn't a pretty good ball player, but I don't think he played. He's like, I wanted to show him something. He's like, I'm not a first baseman. To me, every player should know and learn every position on the baseball field for numerous reasons. If you learn how to play first and scoop, it's going to carry over to your other positions. Maybe not so much the outfield, but I don't know. That's something kills me. I'm just an outfielder. I can't do anything else. Well, I mean, if you're not getting it done in the outfield and there's 3 better outfielders, but maybe there's a spot in the infield, maybe that would be a spot for you somewhere. Players should want to know every position. Don't just be, unless you will be a PO, you're going to be a pitcher only, then, so be it. But if you're playing the field, I would learn every position on that baseball field, whether you're able to actually play it well or not. At least you know it when you get there. You recruit athletes like this with Curly, with a Blake Grimmer. Some of these guys, I love the 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" guys with that kind of build. That's nothing against the shorter guys like 6 foot or below like myself. I'm right at about 6 foot. But, those type of guys are versatile. They can play short. They can play third. They can possibly play first. They can go to the outfield if need to be. So much versatility on it. I love that. So first base. So Grimmer. So Blake Grimmer. Let me get back to where I was here with him. 148 last year, 2023, out of Spring Lake, Michigan. Blake Grimmer, his scouting report said outstanding physical projection, smooth hands and athletic actions in the infield, fluid left-handed stroke with big power potential. Says he can play shortstop, first base, third base. I don't know about you guys. That sounds to me like a dude who may be a stud down here in Knoxville. That projection, if it pans out, and him sticking around too, it's a guy who's obviously willing to learn, wait his turn. I think he is playing in. I wrote some of this down here. I've got it right here in front of me. Actually, Grimmer is playing in. I don't have him anywhere. Wait, no, I do. North Woods League. All right, so we'll look up the playing for Kalamazoo up there. So let me see. Let me see. I'm just curious to see what he's doing. I don't know much about this Northwoods League. I know your main one, of course, is the Cape Cod. But I'll tell you, man, this Appalachian League really seems to me like it's starting to become a good league. There's a lot of Tennessee guys playing up there this summer. All right. I said, let's see. Did I say Kalamazoo Growlers? I wonder if they have growler night where they'll fill up growlers a beer. That'd be pretty cool. All right, team. Let's look at some stats here. I want Blake Grimmer's stats. They also have Jeremy Comer on here, who is, if I'm not mistaken, a pitcher. Well, I'm waiting on it to upload here. Yeah, this is I'm going to get to Tim Dewberry's about Manny Ramirez's son here. Reese Winter said, everyone said Phillips has a big bat. Tony should let him DH some games. I had heard that too, and I think Tony even alluded to it. If I cut out here, guys, it looks like I'm having a little bit of connectivity issues. I hope not, but hopefully it doesn't mess up too much. If so, get this thing up and running. But yes, I've heard that too, that Marcus Phillips can apparently hit. And I think Vitello even kind of alluded to that he could hit, but I don't know if they're just focusing more on just his pitching at this point or what. Okay, Jeremy Comer is Tennessee. He's hitting 221 this summer. Blake Grimmer's playing shortstop, hitting 167 on the summer. So let's see if he's got any home runs here. No home runs for him. Comer has a couple, or Comer. I'm not sure. I'm assuming it's Comer. Has a couple. So neither one of those really putting up big numbers yet in the summer leagues. But we'll see where they go with those. But that's one guy for first base is Grimmer. So according to his scouting report, he has a big time potential with that. Looking too at last year's class. Get back to 2023 here. Of course, Dalton Bargo as a candidate. I think Dalton Bargo takes a big step next year. I really do. I don't see any other guys listed as. It's all pretty much out of Tennessee's class from last year, outfield, shortstop, or pitcher. That's actually what all of it is. So Tennessee, a lot of these guys, they are recruiting them more as athletes, kind of like in football. They may play wide receiver, they may play running back, they may play defensive back. That's more or less the approach here. And you're getting some of these guys with these bigger frames, with this athleticism, and they're able to, shift around different places, especially if they want to get on the field. You better learn different places. So you got Grimmer, you got Dalton Bargo. If this guy from Niagara, Radachak, makes it to campus, the thing with him, he can play the outfield as well. Saw he had 7 errors last year, a 982 fielding percentage. And Andrew Fisher from Ole Miss, if he makes it to campus, can he play first base? I've read about, apparently defense is a little bit of a struggle with him, but who's to say the defense can't get better? I mean, we'll see where that is. I think that's your candidates right offhand. Again, your only guy out of this current signing class I've seen who projects as a first baseman is Jackson Jones out of Kansas. Pretty big guy. How does he project? Other than that, I mean, that's basically who I'm seeing as first baseman in this class. And, your pitchers, your main guys you're going to have to watch out for with the draft. Anson Siebert. I've seen some stuff saying they think most of these guys will make campus, and maybe they do. But I think you'll get some guys who you're going to lose some guys to the draft. It's going to happen with the high school class, and it's most certainly going to happen with the current team. The question is how many with this signing class. You got Siebert, who's the top guy according to Perfect Game, a 6'8" righty out of Overland Park, Kansas. From what I saw in his scouting report, he throws up in the high 90s. Tegan Coons is a guy, 42 overall, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Gettysburg, not Gettysburg, not Mr. Gaddy's. 6'3", 177. I've seen some saying that they'd be surprised if he makes it to campus. Braden Krenzel, 79th overall, 6'3", 205 out of Dublin, Ohio, is a right-handed pitcher. Tate Strickland, right-handed pitcher out of Powder Springs, Georgia, ranked 155. Ryler Smart, the only left-handed pitcher I see in this class, not including JUCO, 6'4", 220, lefty out of Pearland, Texas. Aiden Hayes, right-hand pitcher out of Morris, Illinois. Somebody mentioned Manny Ramirez, son. According to Perfect Game, Lucas Ramirez is 296, 6'3", 198 out of Florida. He actually hits left-handed, according to Perfect Game, throws right-handed. So I think he's I think there's a good possibility he makes it to campus unless, they, who knows? Who knows? Like last year, according to perfectgame.com, Carson Rucker, brother of Jake Rucker, was ranked 471 overall. He was drafted in the 4th round by Detroit. I mean, player I'm very, very familiar with from 2020, Elizabeth and Evan Carter. He was signed to play with Duke. I'm not sure what his projection was as far as the draft goes or anything, but he ended up going like 2nd round. So, some of these scouts see a guy that they like pretty well, who maybe projects lower. And you got to factor in the signing bonuses and thing. They've got that, I don't know, the way the bonus, you can't just sign whomever the way it works. Slot value, that's what I'm looking at. But it could play in. But some of these guys, I think, with high asking prices will probably make it to campus unless they're a 1st-round pick. There probably just won't be met later on, but I think you got to prepare for that. And this is a heck of a class, and these classes are set up for the next few years, depending on who makes it to campus. And, with each one, when you start getting highly rated classes, guys are not going to make it to campus. They're just not. Not all of them, anyway. Tennessee's pretty much got affected every year by somebody getting drafted and not making it to campus. So it just is what it is when you recruit good players. That's what happens with so many of these guys ranked as highly as they are. There's a lot of guys ranked in the top 500, according to perfectgame.com. I think I counted amongst the current team. and the signing class of 20 guys ranked in the top 500 on there. First 20 rounds, 30 picks per round. That's at least 600 picks plus all your compensation rounds. I'm guessing, give or take 700 picks overall. You start getting later on, you're looking for more or less, I guess you look for maybe talent at the end, maybe sleepers, so to speak. But you also, at some point, now that's where I talk about these guys like Hunter Ensley, AJ Causey. If they're to get drafted now, they have leverage in their signing bonuses. They can command a little more because they have eligibility left. A guy like Eric Radicek, who just committed today from Niagara, he has leverage because he has eligibility left. These guys come back next year, though. They don't improve their stock. Even if they're around a 10th round pick or something, they have no leverage with their signing bonus. And some of those guys with no eligibility get some pretty low signing bonuses. So I know NIL plays a lot into this. If you're a high school guy and you're drafted, if you're a top 100 high school guy and you're drafted in 10th or 15th round, why would you not, especially with NIL, come to campus and try to improve your stock? All right. I mean, I think it's a no-brainer in that regard. You're a top 5 round pick or something, though. I don't know how you turn it down. I think what a lot of people are forgetting with NIL. If your dreams still go to the major leagues, major league drafts are only 20 rounds now. You get drafted, especially if you're just 1 year of college eligibility left. I think you're crazy not to take it unless you know surefire you're going to. It's not like the NBA where Dalton Connect last year was told, come work on your defense, and then he becomes a first-round pick, and he frankly went lower than he should have just because of his age. Could have Chaz Lanier do the same thing this year? Who knows? It's possible. But MLB draft, man, sometimes you gotta hit while it's hot. Which brings me to the draft. I was hoping to wrap up at about an hour. We're at 58 minutes. I don't think that's happening. So if you guys want to stick around a little bit longer, we'll keep going here. Just a lot of baseball stuff on it. Like I said, I'm just going to put it out there. This is the best channel for baseball. It's not even the only thing that I don't have this channel. I don't have that inside source to get that. That's the only thing I'm missing on here. If I ever get that, it's on. It is on. That's nothing to other guys. It's just we're covering recruiting on here. We're hitting the portal pretty heavy. We're hitting the draft pretty heavy. Nobody else is doing that right now. It's and I know these college baseball recruiting sites are expensive and stuff. Again, that's why I say a lot of this super chat stuff goes to help provide a better coverage for the channel in just numerous aspects and stuff. Let's see. The pros are relying more and more on the college system to develop. I've started noticing that too. I've started noticing it a lot as well, especially I think about the Braves. The Braves have been kind of college. Well, I'll say that in two years ago, they took a couple high school guys early. But yeah, I think, you think of a guy like Garrett Crochet, Tennessee 2020, that season was shortened. And that was unfortunate because Tennessee had a stud anchor in that rotation, Crochet. Just made the all-star team, the White Sox, but he was drafted. He was in the majors before the year was out. You get the right guy. Vol's Discord. I'm not aware of that one. I'll have to take a look at that. Thanks for passing along for sure, Ben. Appreciate that. I'll definitely check it out on here. Yeah, college guys, man. I mean, you find, and you think how many guys make the pros along the way too? How many guys are career minor leaguers or so? I don't think there's anything to be ashamed about being a career minor. If you get drafted, that's a pretty dang good accomplishment down there in Tennessee. And Tony Vitello's had plenty drafted over the last few years. They're going to have plenty more drafted this year. I mean, I think of it off at the top of my head. Here's my projections on who goes and, who's not on there. Starting rotation, Stamos gone. He's out of eligibility. Sam Sechrist gone out of eligibility. Drew Beam, I'm picking to go top 3 rounds. He could possibly go as early as round 1. I think he could be second, third round. Depends on. I still don't think we've seen the best of Drew Beam, and that's not anything against Frank Anderson or anybody like that. Drew Beam, pretty highly thought of coming out of high school. They've done a great job with him in Knoxville. I still think there's another level to Drew Beam. I really do. And one thing I picked up on was him struggling out of the stretch this year. Yeah, everybody's eventually going to give up hits out of the windup, but it seemed like when he got out of the stretch. I still think the best is yet to come for Drew Beam. Now, is he always going to be a starter? I don't know. I would think he projects as one, but you never know when you get up there. If they see a roll out of him with him out of the bullpen, there's been numerous guys who were starters transition to relief and vice versa. I mean, it's happened there as well. I mean, the Braves took Reynaldo Lopez, signed him this year. I think he's predominantly been a reliever, started some. They stretched him out. Dude's an all-star now. He's been phenomenal for him this year. Yeah, I totally agree with this, Sam Hargrove. I could ride a bus, stay overnight in a cheap hotel, and probably not have a problem with it. Especially if I get paid pretty good to do it. Now, I think some of those contracts are better now, but used to, I've known numerous guys who played in the minors, and when they got out, they had to get a regular job when it ended for them. Heard some pretty cool stories from guys as well, but you got to be good. And this was back when the draft was like 50 some rounds. So back to the rotation, Causey. I still think if any pitcher with eligibility returns, I think it's Causey. I still think he gets drafted. I thought it's interesting though. He is throwing in the Cape Cod League this summer, so he's not just sitting at home, getting ready for the draft. He's actually throwing in the Cape Cod League, so I think he's prepared. It seems to me like if it comes down to it, to come back to college next year. I'm still going to put it there, but the thing of it is, did his stock drop after his last two outings in Omaha? Because I would say that was his third and fourth worst outings of the year. Now, obviously, Auburn and Georgia were the two worst earlier on in the season. That was when he was starting and shifted back. But I could see a team taking a flyer on him having a role. But if any pitcher is going to come back, I think it's Causey. I really do. I'm still putting it on. He's gone. Relief, I think Combs. I'm going to put Combs going in that 10 to 15th round. I think that's where he at. Could he go higher? Sure, possibly. But I would put him around that 10th to 15th round. And with that kind of signing, you saw Jared Dickey last year, who went, 10th or 11th round to Kansas City. That bonus, so he had that leverage. He got a good bonus. He's off to, I think he's in high A right now for Kansas City. But if Combs is in that range, he still has eligibility. He'll be able to go. I think Combs goes in that range and he's gone. Of course, Kirby Cannell is out of eligibility. I seen somebody on here. Let me see. Go back to that comment here. That was back just a little bit earlier. Man, that was on up here just a bit, I guess. I know I seen. Oh, there it was. Devo said I read a lot about Kirby expected to be on staff next year. I think if for some reason, I agree with you. If he doesn't sign any kind of a contract, if he's not drafted, doesn't sign an undrafted free agent contract, I think you'll see Kirby on staff next year for sure in some role, whether it's voluntary or whatever. But he's definitely out of eligibility. Won't be back. Let me look on utsports.com. Go back through the pitchers here again. Nate Snead will be back. Nate Snead will be in the starting rotation is my prediction next year. I think he moves up to the starting rotation. Jerry Garcia Jr., JJ Garcia. I've heard good things about him throwing. I'm thinking he is throwing in. I swear I thought I saw he's throwing the Appy League. No, he's throwing the Coastal Plains League. Okay, Forest City Owls. So let me see if I can find that one here to see how he was doing. Coastal Plains League looks to me like a pretty good one as well. Let me see if I can find old Jerry Garcia, JJ Garcia. Here we go. Okay. Eh, these are a little bit harder to find here. No, I can't. I'll keep looking here, see what I can find. Oh, here we go. Pitching. Garcia is 1 game, 3 innings, 3 hits, gave up 1 run, was not earned, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. Gave up 1 double. So it looks like up to this point, he's only pitched in 1 game so far. I know he come in and threw an inning against Evansville, and he's got some pretty good stuff on there as well. Of course, I've mentioned Causey. Andrew Banky, that's one of your left-handed guys, sophomore. He'll be back. Stamos gone. Aaron Combs, I talked about him. Brady Robertson, he's currently playing in Bristol, the State Liners Appalachian League. He's the guy we saw a little bit midweek this year, a right-handed pitcher, redshirt freshman. Austin Hunley. Got Austin Hunley coming back, Bristol State Liners as well, redshirt freshman. Of course, Beam gone. AJ Russell, that's the wild card. Good news that he'll be able to start throwing in February. When will he be a starter at any point? I mean, it'll take him longer than a month. It'll take him longer than a month to get back into it. I've seen the whole process actually firsthand with Tommy John. It's a little bit of a process. So could he, my projection would be if he's going to start to be middle SEC, I think beginning is too soon. Possibly. Best case, beginning SEC play, worst case, middle of the season on it. That's barring that all the rehab goes well with it. Of course, Derek Schaefer transferred. Cannell out of eligibility. Dylan Loy, he's pitching for the Axemen, pitched for Team USA some. I think he could possibly be in the rotation next year. I'm counting on him and Sneed. Of course, Causey is kind of a wild card. You've got Luke Payne, who we've not seen. Well, I said he was pitching. I don't think I've seen him on a roster yet, as a matter of fact. So I don't know if he was hurt this year or not. But he's a guy, he's a right-handed pitcher. Excuse me, he's a left-handed pitcher. So he could have a role next year as well. A guy who's stuck around. Marcus Phillips is a guy I'm high on. I expect him to be their closer. I really do. I think he's the dude. He gets that control down. He is going to be a beast at the end. Braden Sharp is listed as an outfielder, left-handed pitcher. So I'm interested to see. Normally, these guys will go to one place. If he works as a pitcher, he'll be a left-handed pitcher or in the outfield. So I think that was a guy out of Texas that was pretty highly rated last year. So that's some that'll factor in. Counting on those guys. That's the pitcher. I think most of your staff's back, but they're going to lose some big contributors. The wild card is Causey. I guess you could go to an extent Combs, but I think Combs gets drafted. And then your fielders. Pretty sure Cal Stark is out of eligibility. I don't think even if he doesn't get, I don't think he has any COVID year or anything left. Stark gone. So that'll be Cannon Peebles, Charlie Taylor, Stone Lawless. And then, like you talked about, does the freshman, the guy that's going to be a freshman come in, Levi Clark, does he make it to campus? Is he, a casualty of the draft? Possibly. We'll wait and see on that. But if Peebles takes that step, like I think he will, if Stone Lawless, he'll get some time as well. Peebles is not going to catch every single game. They'll have somebody catch the midweek game. If not, rotate them on weekends. So we'll see where that one goes. Billy Amick, he's going on. He's projected as a first-round pick. I could see him going second. I'm going to say he's off the board within the top couple rounds on it. Curley, he's back. Curley's going to have a big year. Next year probably be it for him because he will be draft eligible based on his age at the end of the year. Where does Curley play? I think it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I would love to be there to see how this plays out for fall. It's going to be a battle in that infield. Christian Moore gone. He penned a pretty cool letter to Vol Nation this week. He's going to be top 15, top 20 pick. I mean, I've seen him around 10, give or take. Blake Burke, he'll be gone first 2 to 3 rounds, I think, at worst for him. Kavar Steer's gone. Dylan Dowling gone. Those guys will be somewhere, I would say, top 3 rounds. Maybe as late as 5th. We'll say 5th or sooner. I think 5th may not do him justice, though. I'm one of the few on this one. I'm saying Hunter Ensley gets drafted. Hunter Ensley, the way, especially when he went to that 5th spot in order, the way he finished the season, I still think Hunter Ensley has played himself into getting drafted. And, people say, well, he could come back and make more NIL. I don't think these guys are just getting a killing of NIL for baseball. You got to realize they're not even on full scholarships, first of all. So some of that money for NIL is going to pay for their scholarships. There's not full rides in baseball. There's not the Vandy Fund that used to be there that gave Vanderbilt that advantage over others, where NIL has kind of evened that out now. I don't know what kind of NIL money they make for baseball. Could they hit, 100,000s or something possibly? If any, or I'm starting to see numbers like for A&M millions, and that's unheard of for baseball. That tells me if that is the case, and who knows, sometimes it's sour grapes from people. That is, baseball. Jordan Moore, Fox Sports Knoxville, awesome stuff. A lot of good numbers, got a lot of good stats. He kind of summed it up this week. He had a post on Twitter talking about the revenue generated. Football's over 30 million, basketball over 5 million, baseball over 1 million. That shows you the big difference in those three. I can't imagine, in Tennessee's case, them making just over $1 million in revenue and then them giving a guy $1 million in NIL. That's not going to happen. And, Tony Vitello, I can't remember which game it was after. It was after one of the Evansville games. I'm pretty sure it was Blake Sear of Miami, who's now transferred to Florida. That's pretty much confirmed who it was. I was evidently there chasing some money. Vitello did not like it, and he said, if you're here chasing a bag, it's not the place for you. They maintain that, Chase Burns transfers this past season. People are like, how are you going to replace him? All they do is go out and win a national title after. That, the way that program's set up, the way they've got it running, somebody comes in and mess with it, you'll be gone out the door. And I think it's pretty valid to think, was Burns more of a, we can sit here and speculate. We know what all's out there with it for sure. But I still say Ensley gone. I say he gets drafted and he goes to the draft. If he doesn't, you know what? That's great for Tennessee. Got our center fielder back. You've got your leader back for next year. Somebody asked about Marcus Phillips. He has, I know he throws a cutter. He threw a cutter against, was it A&M? It is nasty. That cutter was nasty. Absolutely. No, I will answer this one quickly. Chase Burns is not a VFL. I'm one I said I won't crack on him because the dude at that 2023 season, I know there were issues. We all know, I think, have a pretty good idea. But the one thing I saw at him was the dude he gave it his all till the end. And they won some games because of him. But he is not a VFL. No, absolutely not. Because he couldn't accept his role. And he took off to Wake Forest. So, no, when a guy transfers out to another program, they are not a VFL to me. Absolutely not. I think you go through all your, or, I guess you could say, if a guy transfer, is Billy Amick in a VFL? Now, I think so. When you come here, you finished, you won a championship. I mean, I would say Billy Amick is, even though he played 2 years at Clemson, one in Knoxville, but he's on record. He said, I wished I'd played all three here. Yeah, Papa J's on that one. VNL. Vol no longer. No, Chase Burns is absolutely not a VFL. Nope. I don't have any hate for the guy. I really don't. But he made his choice. And me personally, I wanted Wake Forest in the Super Regionals. I know a lot of people were scared of him. I wanted him. And you can't sit and tell me those players would not have been fired up. That game, too, in Knoxville on that Saturday night would have been insane. That atmosphere would have been insane. I hated that we did not get that matchup. East Carolina would have been fine. I mean, Evansville was fine. Yeah, Sam, I agree. That's the rumor that he was a clubhouse cancer. That's the rumors. I can go. I'm not going to sit here and dog the guy. I'm not, just because that what I saw, and I'm not in the locker room. I saw a guy who, till the very end, was still giving it his all for Tennessee. I appreciated him for that, because there were some games he bailed out some guys and pitched awesome in the Super Regional against Southern Miss, and he come in that elimination game against Stanford, and he shut Stanford down with Dolander. He bailed Dolander out numerous times in that tournament last year. Dolander's back to pitching pretty good. It seemed that he made the Futures game for Colorado, which is pretty cool. As far as other position guys coming back, I mean, I think that's the guys you lose to the draft again. Your possibilities that are back, Causey, Inslee, I think those two. I think there's a possibility they're back, but also I'm still going to predict they go to the draft. Combs, I think Combs is to the draft. I don't think it's 100%, but I think he gets drafted, he's gone, and he'll have that leverage on it as well. So that's that. Portal talk. We'll try to get to a couple things here and wrap up. Portal talk again. They got Radachak. I keep forgetting, from Niagara today. You've got Keelan. You got Tanner Franklin, nearby Jefferson City, Jefferson County, transferred from Kennesaw State. I think there'll be more names come up, unless, if Tennessee gets Cade Fisher from Florida, Liam Doyle, and Andrew Fisher from Ole Miss. You get this Brandon Arvidsson, who's the JUCO guy, once played for Texas A&M, had signed with Texas, got out of his letter of intent. If Tennessee gets those guys, a part of me wonders if they're not about done, because they're going to, Tennessee predominantly going to be built through the high school ranks and through JUCO. JUCO's a different animal here than it is football and basketball. Your good guys are going to Power 5 from JUCO. You get Ben Joyce. You look at Marcus Phillips. Marcus Phillips, maybe a little bit more of a project. Aaron Combs. Combs has got a brother coming in next year. That's I don't think they'll go much more if they finish how they want. Now, do they get these guys? I don't know. I saw where Fisher's visiting Wake Forest. Cade Fisher, that is. Andrew Fisher, Liam Doyle went to Florida. Florida, I saw their riders pretty confident. So who knows? Tennessee may have to cast a wider net, possibly, but they are being selective. I really think they need to fix this, that teams that are playing for a national title are playing like your Tennessees, your A&Ms, your North Carolinas, Florida States, Georgia, Kentucky, Kentucky, A&M, I think I mentioned, NC State, Florida. All these teams, College World Series, they're still playing, trying to win a national title, while these teams getting sent to the house or getting hit the portal and host visits. They've got to put a dead period in during that. I think it's got to be a dead period where any team on any weekend can host with it. These teams can't host if they're in Omaha for 2 weeks. What's the bigger fish to fry, though? A national championship or a player from the portal? Odds are a guy's in the portal for a reason. You could probably get somebody else. That's not to minimize how good they are by any means. He committed to Texas A&M. I think it was yesterday, actually, John. So that was one that I had seen Tennessee was pretty heavily after, but I don't know that he ever visited campus from what I've seen. All right. So that's kind of your portal. If there's any more news, any more notes or anything on the portal, I'll keep you updated on that one as well. Of course, Tennessee's had some guys on campus. They end up going elsewhere. They've had some dudes cancel visits and commit elsewhere. So that's just the nature of the portal. Tennessee's still going to do good in the portal. They're still going to add some good guys who can help them. Big thing to me, from what I see with a lot of this high school class, is that there's a lot of guys coming in who can help this team. next year if they come in ready to rock and roll. So we've talked baseball for a long time. I could sit here and talk baseball I'm like Lionel Richie. I could sit here and talk baseball all night long, but we're going to shift here just a little bit. Oh man, I'll be honest with you, Mask Up Joe. I don't know on the percentage game. I just don't know. To me, I mean, it just depends. I don't know which guys have the higher ass. All I know right now is where they're rated. I know where Perfect Game has them rated. I don't know. I can't sit here and play the percentage games with it. Here's my guess. I'm going to say at least 75% of the class makes it to campus, though. I will say that. That's my guess. Is at least 75% makes it to campus. So, as to who goes, I don't know on that one. Just and I say that seeing conflicting reports. And again, the high school baseball recruiting is a bit more difficult to follow, honestly, than NBA or college basketball, college football. So my thing, I hope with these ratings, I wish they would get it to this point, especially if you're rating 5 stars. And so, to me, a guy should not be a 5-star if he's not ready to step on campus and be a contributor immediately. If he's a 5-star based on potential 3 years down the line, he's a 3-star. All right, maybe he plays like a 5-star in 3 to 4 years. To me, a 5-star should be an instant impact, ready to step on campus and contribute from day one. That is a 5-star. A 4-star possibly. But, 4-star may be ready to go after year 1. 3-star, I think, is anything a couple years or later. And then, of course, 2-star, if you're not ready to contribute until, 4 or 5 years down the line, I think that's where your 2 and 1s are on it. I don't think the star system should be ranked on necessarily your potential down the line. I think it should be based on what are guys ready to do out of high school. Because, I mean, there's been numerous 2-star guys and walk-on guys get drafted in the NFL and stuff. Wanted to hit basketball here real quick. Probably won't take long on basketball, and then we'll hit a little bit of football, and we'll wrap up here. But Cameron Carr, man, I did a video last week, actually, on him. Let me see if I can find that here. It is under. If you happen to pull up playlists, if you look at Tennessee basketball 2024-25, on that. It is actually the most recent video that I did on that. It's entitled Tennessee Basketball, Big Things Happening down there. So talked about Cameron Carr, things happening in Tennessee basketball this summer. Cameron Carr, Jason Tatum Elite Camp. And from what I've read on it, I'd run across this on Twitter. Actually, this was a couple days after I posted. John Chepkevich. He says director of scouting for draftexpress.com. Says he's utilized by the NBA, NCAA, and international teams. He had a post earlier in the week, said Tennessee's Cameron Carr looked poised for a sophomore elite at the Tatum Elite Camp. Said he looks to be in incredible shape with cut shoulders, long arms, and a wiry, strong frame. He says responsible for some of the most memorable highlights of the camp, hammering home several emphatic dunks. And there's some highlights on here of him as well. I mean, he's stroking it from outside. He's driving it inside as well. He's locking down, or he swatted a guy here as well. I think people are sleeping on Cameron Carr. And from what I've read, you guys remember, I did numerous videos on this on Cade Tyson, transfer from Belmont, ended up going to North Carolina. I had read where Tennessee, it seemed like could have had him if they wanted him. But I've seen speculation that Cade Tyson comes to Knoxville, Cameron Carr possibly hits the portal. Rick Barnes and company did not want Cameron Carr to hit the portal. When he came out of high school, there was an article from SI.com said, did Tennessee find their next superstar in Cameron Carr? I think there's big things going on here. Grant Ramey, BallQuest.com on 3. He had an article talking about Cameron Carr just yesterday as well. and he talked about that same one. Let's see if he had anything else. So Carr was one of that Jason Tatum elite camp. It is an invitation only, basically your best wings in high school and college across the country invited. So there was guys from Duke, Kansas, UConn, etc. on here. It said Carr listed on the official roster 6'5", 175. They just kind of talked about some of his stuff from last year. He's one of 6 returning players. Not much more in the article. It kind of just highlighted that what I did from Twitter here, but talked about that, him going to the Jason Tatum elite camp. I talked about on that video as well, Chaz Lanier, the KD drill. Jordan Moore, Fox Sports Knoxville had posted on Twitter about Chaz Lanier being on the second guy to complete the KD drill. And Rick Barnes, like, I guess, whole history. And he did it in the second attempt. So it's a guy that can shoot, obviously. And then Igor Milicic Jr., currently with Poland on their qualifying squad. I am super I'm fired up for Igor Milicic Jr. and what he's going to bring in here. Just him being 6'10", he can shoot, he can drive, he can rebound. I think this dude's going to be such an underrated player. I really love what Tennessee's done in the portal, what they brought in. If they avoid injuries, they get their chemistry going, I think the sky's the limit with this team next year. I really do. They've got the point guard. You've got a rim protector in Felix Akpara. You've got scorers, Chaz Lanier, Darlene Stone-Dubar, 2 of your top 5 offensive efficient guys in college basketball last year. I think Igor Milicic is going to be big. Don't discount, man. You've got the best defensive player in the entire nation in Jemai Meshack. Who's going to make Chaz Lanier, Darlene Stone-Dubar, and Cameron Carr better every day in practice? Oh, yeah. The best defensive player in the country, Jemai Meshack. Cameron Carr, what steps do J.P. Estrella and Kay Phillips take? Is Bishop Boswell ready to contribute? I'm excited for the Tennessee basketball roster. I think big things are coming this year. I really do. I think they've got everything. I think they've got everything that they need. I'm curious to see, too, with the Peach Jam coming up in Augusta next week. Rick Barnes has found guy. I think that's where he found Zakai Ziegler, a few years ago. Do they find some late bloomer guys possibly? I would not be surprised because they still have a couple spots left in that class. Yeah, Tennessee basketball, I love what they're doing. I really do. Last thing, Herb says 60-40 Niagara first baseman makes it to campus. He is a bit of an older dude, I think, because he started at University of San Diego, went Arizona, Western JUCO, I believe it was. He's actually playing in what I see it is called like a MLB Draft Summer League right now. So I almost put 40-60. I hope you're right. I hope he makes it to campus. I think he'd be a big-time pickup for Tennessee. I think I saw McKee say 65%. I think a guy like that, again, I compare it back a couple years ago. You had Reggie Crawford from UConn, who was listed as a pitcher, I think outfielder, first baseman maybe. He was drafted by the Giants fairly early. He was coming to Tennessee. He signed. I mean, you couldn't blame him that early. Last year, Ryan Galani from Wofford, 12th round pick, Chicago White Sox, he signed. He would have been probably your DH guy this year. I really think he would, or he could have factored in somewhere. He had a big bat coming from Wofford. And, Wofford this year, too, Wofford was one of the top offenses in college baseball. So they're producing some offensive talent down there. I wonder if Radachak goes that same route. I hope he makes it to campus. And from what I read, he's pretty fired up to get to Knoxville and play some baseball. But, man, when that MLB comes calling, and especially if you got some leverage and they meet it, I don't know. I'm obviously not in their situation. For me, I'd be gone. But, do these guys also look at it from the standpoint of, man, I come back one more year, I might be able to progress on up first 5 rounds or something. I mean, you got to see, some guys are pretty high on their abilities, think they can do better. Hey, hats off to them, man. But I know if that opportunity comes, it's you can't blame a guy. It is for sure. I think this is I'm curious to see. I think that outfield next year, I think the infield Curley, Keelan, right? Gavin Keelan. If Antigua gets his bat going, he starts. But I think it'll depend on his bat if he's not hitting. I mean, I don't know on that one. Peebles catching's my guess. Bargo, or if Radicek makes it, he can factor in it first. Does Andrew Fisher, if he makes it? I mean, that's still a big, we'll see. Outfield, Reese Chapman. I'm expecting Reese Chapman to take a big step next year. He's had some flashes this year, just a little inconsistency. He and Dalton Bargo both. I expect both of those guys to take a step, because you think Dylan Dreiling, Kavaris Tears last year. I'm thinking Chapman, Bargo, especially both playing the Cape Cod League this summer. I think those two guys both take big steps with it. Some of your, just some of these friends, does Jackson Walker, if he makes it to campus, does he factor in? Colby Backus, he's a guy I'm high on next year. If he puts it together on the weekends, the power, I think he's a pretty good defender. The power is not in question. He could hit midweek this year, weekends where he had trouble on it. He's playing up in Johnson City. I think it's last week he had a walk-off hit, not a home run, but a walk-off hit. Backus, I think, takes a big jump next year. I'd seen stuff. Cole Eaton was a freshman last year, pretty highly thought of. He's playing summer ball. Where did I see he's playing? In the California League right now. So I've seen some pretty good stuff on him. He's a guy could possibly factor in. But some of these freshmen come in ready to go, man. I could absolutely see some factor in next year. And then you factor in some of these guys, a Hunter High. Like I say, I'm not sure on Braden Sharp if he's going to be outfielder or pitcher. I'm thinking I've seen they focus more on pitching with him. But he is a guy who could kind of a dual threat. I mean, Marcus Phillips, I'd love to see Marcus Phillips hit. They said he can hit. Somebody brought that up earlier on here. That seems to be a guy like Alex Perry. I mean, he's a big dude, 6'4", 206. Where does he factor in? I mean, Tony Vitello talked pretty highly of him a few times as well. So talent's not going to be an issue with this team. It's not going to be an issue under Tony Vitello any moving forward. It's just going to be a matter who makes it to campus. Again, I'll say 75% of this class, maybe higher, makes it to campus. You may only have 2 to 3 guys who go to the MLB draft from this signing class. But those things are they're just so hard to project. They really are, because, a guy, like I said, I've seen it with like Evan Carter a few years ago with Duke. He was going to Duke. I knew he was on some radars, but then Rangers take him second round, and the rest is history. They gave him a nice signing bonus, and I remember his quote. He said, I'd be crazy to turn down what they offered, especially that high. So, one of these guys gets that kind of bonus, that kind of money. You're not making, if you get an over $1 million signing bonus, you're not making that kind of NIL in college. Not unless times, not at Tennessee, you're not. And that's not that Tennessee's being cheap or nothing. I just can't see that NIL for baseball is going to bring what, a football or a Chaz Lanier or somebody brings. I just can't. And then, last thing, talk a little football here tonight. A lot of guys committing this month. Travis Smith Jr. is the next one. I think he's a Vol. I think it's a huge pickup. I love what they're doing with this roster, man, with the line. Your big one is obviously going to be David Sanders Jr. at that point. I think he's a must-get. Tennessee's done really well on the offensive line so far. You get David Sanders Jr., I think everything else is just icing on the cake. Now you start getting guys like Jaden Perlotti from Georgia. I saw he dropped today in the On3 rankings. Christian Gass, I've seen, who visited a couple weekends ago, that I've seen that Tennessee's in pretty good shape. It's Tennessee-Georgia battles, though. I mean, you're going against the best, basically. Top 100 guy there, if you could get, would be a kind of a hybrid, a linebacker, maybe end type guy. Shady Hayward, safety, announcing July 27th. I think Tennessee, good shot there. Onus Konambani, I think is how you pronounce it, from Columbia. Tennessee in pretty good shape from what I have seen there. It's just a matter of finishing it off with these guys. And, of course, you'll save some room for the portal next year. But this team, to me, for the fall, I expect big things in the fall. If Nico does what I expect, I think big things are coming. The big question mark on the defense is going to be the secondary, and it's a put up or shut up year for Willie Martinez. It's a crap or get off the pot year for Willie Martinez. I think Willie Martinez gets some flack. I don't think he gets sometimes enough. You think of guys like, Kamal Haddon. Look at the progress he'd made last year prior to getting hurt. You had Jalen McCullough. He rated out as one of the top safeties in college last year. What are they going to do with that? My only beef with that secondary and with those coaches, I would like to see them playing more young guys, especially if a veteran's not getting the job done. Why keep – it doesn't matter to me if you know the assignment, if you can't make the play in there. Put some guys that have more ability out there if that's not the case. That's going to be a big question this year. I think the linebackers, I think Keenan Pili was a big loss last year when he got hurt. But to me, I look back on that team, and I think based on who they were playing last year, they hit their ceiling of 9 wins. This team has a higher ceiling. I'm glad I'm not glad he got injured or anything, but the fact that he's back, I think he's going to be big in that middle linebacker. And I think he'll be a bigger bonus to this team than last year's, just because I think a higher ceiling. Tim Dewberry brings up a good point. Running back health is going to be a big issue. You got Cam Seldon hurt, Peyton Lewis hurt. So right now you've really got Dylan Sampson, who I think is going to be huge this year. I expect, and I'm curious to see how the new running back coach Sims, I'm curious to see what his running back rotations are like. I don't think they're like Jerry Mack's. I really don't. I think it'll be different. Jerry Mack rotated too much for me at times. Jalen Wright should have gotten more carries than he got last year. Dylan Sampson should have been getting more carries than he got. We saw it in the bowl game when he was the main guy against a good defense, and he was very good. I think Dylan Sampson has a big year, and I think Dylan Sampson goes the Jalen Wright route and goes to the NFL draft after this year. I'm high on Cam Seldon. If he's healthy, I think he's going to be a stud before he's there. Of course, you got Peyton Lewis, you got Khalifa Keith, you got Deshaun Bishop. If they stay healthy, I think they'll be fine with this system. But, man, if not, does somebody move positions? What happens to get some more depth in there in the event that they have injury? That's a very valid concern. I think this team is deep at wide receiver. They're deep at tight end. I mean, your offensive line, I don't know deep, but I think their main guys are going to be – I think it'll be a really good line. That defensive line is deep. I think the linebacker depth will be better than anticipated. The secondary is what all eyes are going to be on. That's where it's at. I mean, the kicking game is going to be interesting. I can't even think off the top of my head who the kicker is. I know you've got the punter, the Aussie punter back who can punt, but I'm thinking the guy who kicked last year was a super senior. So off the top of my head, I cannot remember who the kicker is. So we'll see. I mean, that's a big part. You've got to have a good kicker and stuff. But that's kind of about what I've got for tonight. I've went quite a bit longer than I anticipated on here, but a lot to talk about tonight. It was a pretty good show. Good, a lot of good participation here. I appreciate you guys. Check out some of the content I've posted on here if you haven't already. I posted more about the signing class for baseball yesterday. Posted earlier about the commitment from Niagara. I talked about the Cam Carr video from last week. Talked about Tennessee basketball. There's a lot of good content on here right now with baseball and stuff specifically. So I hope you'll check it out. I'll keep it coming. And I've got some stuff in store that I'm going to put together this week as well. Let's see, Herb, we'll just barring anything, we'll just plan on Monday nights, 7:30, being the night moving forward. And then we get into football season, we may work in a little bit of Sunday night as well. And then maybe some Saturday morning, like early Saturday morning, like 9 a.m. or something. I'm not doing post-game football. That's not going to be my game. There's a lot of people doing it. And again, I'm not necessarily out here to compete with others. I'm out here to do my own thing. And it just seems like a really oversaturated market right now. I would be kind of crazy to go into that. But I'll definitely be doing some stuff. We'll keep going live. I think Monday night's going to be the night here. Monday night, 7:30. If anything changes, I'll let you guys know on that as well. So, yeah, that's right. The Major League Draft will be starting next Sunday. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So there'll be some good stuff to talk about. That'll be a good night for it. My plan is, if nothing goes wrong, we'll go up Thursday night to Johnson City, watch Johnson City, the Doughboys, and the Greenville Flyboy. Josh Turbyville. Thank you to Tim Dewberry. That's it. That's the kicker. I could not remember that name. Thank you. All right. Plan on going up, watching a little Appy League action. We'll watch Antigua, a guy familiar with, coach some last year, actually is playing up there for Greenville right now. So we'll see him play a little bit as well. But if you're in the Tri-Cities, come on out. If you see old Frank, come say hello. If not, that's cool too. But we're going to wrap this thing up, man. I hope you guys have a great Monday. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in all this time. It was a good show. A lot of good content, a lot of good comments on here as well. Appreciate you guys and your generosity as well. I hope you have a great rest of your evening. I'll see you again when I see you, and I think it'll probably be sometime tomorrow on video. As far as live, we'll plan on next Monday, 7:30. Have a great evening. Frank Rock, House of Orange Sports Channel. Main thing with me, make sure you share. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Word of mouth is the best way to give it out. Have a great evening, and go Vols.